Welcome to the new Cyber Frontier, bringing you the latest news on the local Colorado economy and initiatives that focus on the development of cybersecurity economics. You don't have to be a computer or cybersecurity expert to get plugged in. Your host, Chris Gorog, brings it straightforward, asks the tough questions, and brings the cyber world to a level of understanding for everyone. Chris is personable and opens up with our guests on issues we all would like to see addressed. You can find us on the web at www.newcyberfrontier.com. Now join our host as he introduces the topic for today's new Cyber Frontier.
Welcome. Today we're here talking to Kyle Hybl, and we're here at the beautiful Broadmoor in Colorado Springs. I don't know how you landed this type of work, but it is amazing view you have here and everything around you. I don't know how you stay focused.
Well, it's tough to stay focused, but you look very relaxed. I think it might be the environment.
So maybe that's the key
That's
here,
the key
huh?
to the whole thing.
So Kyle is on the board of directors for the National Cyber Center that we talk about here a lot in Colorado Springs, and also the Cyber Institute, which he wouldn't tell me about, but we're going to have him talk about that. But first of all, Kyle, give us your background. Tell us how you got to where you're at and what types of things you do in the local community and for cybersecurity.
Sure. How I ended up on the board of the National Cybersecurity Center is probably the convergence of a number of things. One is I currently serve as Chief Operating Officer to Pomar Foundation, which is the part of the Spencer and Julie Penrose legacy. They built the Broadmoor. They left the endowment Pomar to enhance the well-being of the people of the state of Colorado. So we seek to fulfill their intentions in our day-to-day work. I also serve and have for about the last 10 years on the board of Regents for the University of Colorado system. And so CU is currently a $3.8 billion enterprise, $7 billion a year economic impact on the state, 70,000 students, 30,000 employees approximately. While at the same time we get about $175 million from the state of Colorado. So we're sort of a state-located public institution. But the convergence of these things, UCCS and its effort in cybersecurity, which really started about 12 years ago when General Lord was in town, and Pam Shockley-Zalbach at the time signed an agreement with the Air Force on starting a doctorate, master's, and bachelor's in cybersecurity. So there's been an effort in this community for a number of years. And when the governor took his trip around the world and visited Israel and saw the combination of academia, business, and government coming together to address cybersecurity issues, he thought to himself, Colorado has an ecosystem that lends itself to that, and really a center of that is the Pikes Peak region. Between Colorado Springs and Castle Rock, there are some 85 cybersecurity firms. Most of them are not really large, but there's a very vibrant corporate culture that is dealing with this in large part because of the DoD presence. Mm-hmm. And so the governor came and he was trying to harness this ecosystem and the possibilities here in this arena. UCCS under Ed Anderson was already moving to try and do this, and many others, Doug DePep and yourself also, were working to try and create a vibrant cybersecurity environment. And so that was sort of the beginning of National Cybersecurity Center, and with my role as an attorney, I got to I was the scrivener in incorporating it.
So your background as an attorney, that's
right.
But all these other things, I mean, a young man like yourself, I know they just put anybody in these roles. How did you get to that point? I mean, from a leadership standpoint.
So to be a regent for the University of Colorado system, you have to run for the position. So I ran in the 5th Congressional District. I ran when at the time there were 7 candidates or so running in the primary. Doug Lamborn was elected out of that. But there are 9 of us on the Board of Regents who govern the CU system, and it's very important that we have a good and capable president and chancellors and leadership teams because they set a tone, and I think the University of Colorado's headed in the right direction on all its 4 campuses.
We'll be right back with the rest of today's show right after these brief messages from our sponsors. Cyber Resilience Institute helps build strong cyber communities designed to prevent members from attack. Like building a neighborhood watch, it takes coordination and a sharing community to protect our identities and valuables in the virtual world. Typically, we hear that organizations know they need to do something to protect their cyber assets, but don't know where to begin. Let Cyber Resilience Institute help your community create an action plan. Cyber Resilience Institute will build your community or business marketplace so that it is designed to support a collective cyber defense. Contact them for more information at cyberresilienceinstitute.org.
So there's certainly that, which creates opportunity, but that's you have to decide that you're going to run for the office, so you have to sort of earn that one. And then my role with El Pomar, after I got out, I was in the Air Force as a judge advocate after law school and came here and started as general counsel to the Broadmoor and to El Pomar Foundation, and have been here the last 15 years. And it's a real privilege to have the combination of jobs and roles in the community that I do have.
Yeah, definitely a great anchor here in the community. I've heard people talk about you from all different directions. Always good things to say. So.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm glad the checks are getting out.
Yeah, exactly. Keep sending the checks,
Right,
and we'll keep saying that.
Right.
So you said the Cyber Institute.
Yes.
First of all, I'm not familiar with that. What is that?
So let me take a step back. So the National Cybersecurity Center has 3 pillars that it's operationalizing to fulfill its mission. One is the Center for Research, Education, and Training, which is dealing with workforce development, could be certification, that 18-week coding certification effort, and it's also harnessing the relationships that UCCS has with other institutions, the 8 university consortium UCCS is the lead on, and trying to make sure that there's vibrant 4-year master's and PhD programs out there in cyber, but also working with community colleges in Colorado to fill that 2-year degree need. And so that's the Center for Research, Education, and Training. There's also the Rapid Response Center, which wants to be of assistance to the unfortunate 50,000 rather than the Fortune 500. And really what that will do is those companies and organizations that don't necessarily have the cyber technological capabilities that other organizations may have, they'll be able to call into the Rapid Response Center and either get some assistance or be referred to organizations and entities that have specific capabilities that will be able to help them. And then the Cyber Institute, which is the the pillar that I'm helping oversee at this time. Essentially, the Cyber Institute seeks to be the Aspen Institute of cyber. And November 13 through 15, we have our first meeting at the Broadmoor. This one is for public officials, state and local.
Is that open to the public?
There is the kickoff dinner for National Cybersecurity Center, which will be November 13th, and you can go to our website, nationalcybersecuritycenter.org, and see information with regard to that, to see how to be a corporate sponsor, buy a table, or purchase individual tickets. That Governor Hickenlooper is going to be here for that. It is essentially the coming out party, if you will, for National Cybersecurity Center. Right on the heels of that, we'll have our public elected official training. So we'll have 5 or so governors, 5 to 10 mayors, a handful of county commissioners, some adjutants general, some attorneys general, and we'll gather these individuals to do a couple of things, or 3 things. One is to sort of scare them a little bit with the reality of the dangers of cyber. And then 2, give them information on what they need to know about cyber, questions to ask their CISOs and others, and then also what to do when something goes wrong, who to contact, and the other piece is how to allocate money to make sure that money is being spent wisely to help create a robust and secure cyber environment for their organizations. So that's the Cyber Institute, where we'll also do board training right on the heels of the 13 through 15 program. We're going to do a board of directors training. It'll be a day and a half. We have strategic partners working with us in putting on the training. So if any of your listeners are on boards and have a desire to learn more, then I encourage them also to go to the website, nationalcybersecuritycenter.org, to learn more. Each of those day and a half programs essentially will have only between 10 and 20 participants. So they'll be very interactive and give the participants good knowledge on what they need to know, and certainly the evolving fiduciary issues that are associated with cyber.
Is the Cyber Institute now separate from the NCC, or is it the National Cybersecurity Center?
It's part of, so the 3 pillars are all part of the National Cybersecurity Center, and it's basically trying to create a robust system in which the entity can provide services and learn and generate or help create a robust workforce. And it's sort of a virtuous circle of sorts. And so all 3 parts of NCC are what it's going to make it. Okay.
I was just wondering if it's like a whole separate group taking its own direction, or if it's still kind of tightly coupled.
Well, yes, it is coupled, but we have an advisory board for each of the pillars. So the fiduciary board is the National Cybersecurity Center, and then each of the pillars has an advisory board, which is assisting in the development and execution of each of the pillars.
Okay. So what types of things, first of all, who do you have doing the training for this training governors and mayors? Who is doing that? Who are we leading it up? What type of topics can we expect?
So the elected official convening is not a public convening, but we have experts in the industry from government, private sector coming in to speak, consultants and others. And then with regard to the board training, our lead strategic partner for this first one is Owl Cybersecurity, and they are out of Denver.
Okay. And they're going to be doing the training? Is it
for the board training? For
the board training. So how much is University of Colorado and some of their instructors, are they doing this as well?
Yes. So we use the University of Colorado and their instructors to assist, whether it's in the creation of the program or execution of the program itself. And so UCCS in particular is closely involved with NCC activities.
Interesting. So I always like to ask this, and usually toward the beginning, but we'll hit you up now. What is your definition of cybersecurity? What does it encompass? What does it entail?
Well, and I'm not, to be perfectly honest, I'm not a tech person, and so every day I'm learning more, and some days I'm more scared than others. But essentially, we've got this sort of electronic arena that takes power and telephone lines or communication lines of some sort. And that's the fundamental underpinning of what we're dealing with. And then cyber, as opposed to IT, cyber is a contested space where people are not only bringing their technical skills to the table, but they're also bringing their softer skills and intelligence skills, if you will, to the table to either defend or do damage to their adversary. And so cyber as a contested space is something that, and cybersecurity is trying to create a secure environment in that contested space.
We'll be right back with the rest of today's show right after these brief messages from our sponsors. Since the year 2000, Bocor has had a history of being a leader in the Colorado cybersecurity community. They have served many front-range customers in both government and commercial industries. Right now, Bocor is looking for qualified cybersecurity professionals and offering competitive salaries, comprehensive benefit packages, tuition support, and exciting career opportunities working with cutting-edge technology. If this sounds like you, and you have a desire to guide our customers through the treacherous cybersecurity landscape, consider joining the Bocor team. Visit us today at www.bocor.com. That's Bocor.com. BOECORE.com. Cyber Resilience Institute helps build strong cyber communities designed to prevent members from attack. Like building a neighborhood watch, it takes coordination and a sharing community to protect our identities and valuables in the virtual world. Typically, we hear that organizations know they need to do something to protect their cyber assets, but don't know where to begin. Let Cyber Resilience Institute help your community create an action plan. Cyber Resilience Institute will build your community or business marketplace so that it is designed to support a collective cyber defense. Contact them for more information at cyberresilienceinstitute.org.
You had mentioned that training government officials
Yes.
is kind of the start of it. And one of the things you said is how and where to spend money in cybersecurity. Now that one I really honed in on because I've been involved with a lot of these federal efforts and I've seen a lot of waste.
Sure.
So what are we telling them that this is the areas we should be spending money on? Do you have any input on that? I mean, you work here with the Pomar, obviously doing some of the funding as well or some of the decisions there. What direction do we go? What do we fund in cybersecurity?
I think that's a good question, and there's a lot of opportunities to spend money in this area in general. And so I think what one needs, and certainly they don't need me, but what one needs is trusted advisors in this space, because the other thing that I'm seeing is because there's a lot of money and opportunity to spend money in this space, that there's a lot of individuals and who out there who maybe aren't quite as good as others. So you have to find your good advisors and people to sort of help guide you through the process. But a lot of that for these elected officials is knowing what questions to ask. And to get at those questions, we have our cyber experts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd be curious to be a fly on the wall there. And is that training or anything going to be to the public as well?
As this initial training is going to be for the participants only, and as we move forward, say the board training that we're doing right on the heels of that, November 15, 16, is open to the public that is a paid participant in it. So yes, they are programs that will be open to the public, and multiple times each year, the Cyber Institute will have convenings and train board members or C-suite individuals or elected officials on things that they need to know.
Okay. So now, if we take a step back, cybersecurity in general, the average person out there is really concerned with their privacy.
Sure.
So many of the people we're talking to in this effort, at least, and we've heard it from you, straight from government officials, companies, CEOs, C-suites. If cybersecurity ultimately comes down to the mass individual's privacy, what are we doing in that area? How do we get this kind of divide almost where, do we focus on it being a C-suite and a government thing, or do we focus on it being privacy for the people?
Well, I think if you're talking National Cybersecurity Center, then the the Cyber Institute's focus is not necessarily just the individual. It's more organizational. Now, the Center for Research, Education, and Training is more about the individual. It's about training the individual. It's about maybe doing research in privacy issues that may arise. And so each of these is important and needs to be addressed. And I believe in one way or another, National Cybersecurity Center and its pillars is going to be able to help in some way with that. The unfortunate thing or fortunate thing is that the problem is huge and not going away. So there's room for many people to be of assistance in this arena as it evolves.
Mm-hmm. So you see that's a later on down the road where we get towards more of a privacy focus, but now we're focused on bringing in big companies, getting the organizations together from the top down. Is that?
Well, I think privacy is important no matter what level you're dealing with. If you're a big company and all of the private information of your clients goes out, then you not only do you have a problem, but your clients have a problem. I was in the Air Force. I was part of the OPM breach, and
As was I.
Yeah, and so I'm getting to try out the decade of free monitoring and great, and so I think that in the internet was built, it's open architecture, and it wasn't built as from the civilian side at least. And not talk about the secure darknet, whatever sort of issues that I don't think one can expect that they're not going to lose private information over the internet at this point in time. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that changes in the future.
Do you think we'll ever get there?
We might. There's certainly efforts to do that, and I know that in discussions with some, it's the trusted environment and who you send your information to and who receives it. And I just was dealing with secure Cisco communications this morning, and so there's efforts to try and make things secure. How secure was that I got? I don't know. Mm-hmm. More secure than me sending an email.
Okay. So now your work with the Pomar Foundation, what is their involvement and what do you see that direction?
So the trustees of Pomar certainly value efforts in our community in the Pikes Peak region, and we're a statewide funder, but because this was the home of Spencer and Julie Penrose, it's of interest, and that has manifested itself over the years. For instance, through Pomar helping bring the United States Olympic Committee here in the late 1970s. From that, we see now 24 or so national governing bodies of Olympic sport here, plus others. The Cricket Federation now is in Colorado, maybe Cricket of the Americas. And so we're a hub for that sort of thing. There's really an opportunity here for cybersecurity to be a hub for our community. It just so happens that Pomar, as a private foundation, is able to be of assistance in the nonprofit context and not the for-profit context. And so, and cybersecurity is largely going to be a for-profit endeavor. And so we're being of assistance with this, with my time, with some former fellows' time, and trying to help be supportive of the ecosystem, while not being responsible for the success or failure of the ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. So do you see any areas, you said it has to be a nonprofit to be funded. Do you see any areas you're currently looking at that, hey, this can bring in jobs, so we might look at putting some money into these areas?
I think the efforts of National Cybersecurity Center are viewed as something that is going to generate some possibilities for private business to come into the community, and that is in large part, or in part at least, because the governor has put his weight behind the effort, and the university system has also put its weight behind the effort, which is going to increase the possibilities that this can turn into that one of those very few handful of places in the country, this community, where one must come for cybersecurity.
Well, I hope to see that too, because that's been my passion for a while. But kind of in closing here, is there anything you'd like to get out to the public, or any news you'd like to release about the National Cybersecurity Center or the Cyber Institute?
Well, I appreciate that, and I encourage your listeners and viewers to go to our website, nationalcybersecuritycenter.org, for additional information on the dinner on November 13th. It's going to be, I think, quite a powerful kickoff for the organization, public kickoff, and then also the board training, which follows on the heels of that week. I believe it starts November 15th.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining today, Kyle.
Thanks, Chris. I appreciate your time.
It's been great to talk to you.
You too.
And definitely enjoy hearing your opinion here.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of New Cyber Frontier. Remember to get involved. Often we think that someone else will handle privacy and security in the virtual world, but you are the only one truly in command of your virtual fate. Join our mailing list so we can keep you informed of breaking news and new releases. If you have an idea, if you have a question that you would like to hear answered, or if you want to get involved with our efforts, reach out to us at newcyberfrontier.com. We also encourage you to visit our sponsors' links, as they are the ones that really make this show possible. I want to thank each of you for supporting the show, and we look forward to seeing you back for the next episode of New Cyber Frontier.